Our team coverage continues now with something that homeowners will want to pay attention to: the risk for mold after this weekend's heavy rain and flooding. And joining us now is Mary Ellen Welch, a Yukon Extension educator. Thank you so much for being with us. So what do people need to know about the concern for mold in their home or their business after a weather event like we saw on Sunday?
Yes, Irene. Mold is a health and a safety risk. And especially for people with immune compromised systems, pregnant women, children, they are most at risk. However, adults who are healthy should be concerned that they have if they go near any area that's flooding, you have coughing, wheezing, sneezing, like allergy type symptoms. Anyone with asthma, especially, or allergies to mold, should not be in these areas because it can make your symptoms and your health much worse.
So what should people do if they do find mold in their homes after all this flooding?
Well, the best thing to do is to contact your insurance company. If both homeowners and renters should also contact their landlord as well. And this should find out what you're covered for and what you are not covered for. FEMA has special policies for flooding. Sometimes homeowners' policies do not include flooding, but they may be able to help you with some aspect of the cleanup. Another key thing is that there are companies and there are contractors who specialize in mold remediation, and it's best to have them perform the work rather than putting yourself at a health risk and trying to perform all the massive cleanup that can be associated with flooding.
Yeah, good idea to check with your insurance company and your agent. Thank you so much, Mary Ellen Welch, a Yukon Extension educator.
Thank you, Irene.
After all of the flooding in June, a lot of homes in Minnesota are now in need of repair.
Yeah, it's been a busy time for businesses that fix water damage. Brittany Ehrman's live in Shakopee tonight to show us what people are dealing with there. Brittany?
Kevin and Lindsay, this lake is the big problem, and that's because it's sitting right next to this home, and water from that lake made it into this basement. Now residents are stuck with the cleanup that could be complicated.
It makes me a little nervous to see water in here.
Roy McGuire just decked out his basement with plush carpet and fresh paint, but flooding forced him to reverse the makeover.
Actually, that was one of my worst fears, to see water in here, because I didn't expect it.
Howard Lake, that's steps away, just became a sworn enemy of this house. The recent heavy rain caused water to pour into this basement.
There was water coming up along the baseboards. It was deep. The furniture was just sitting in water.
We are busy from sunrise to sunset.
360 Water Damage has been draining water out of homes nonstop. Water repair experts say mold is a big concern for residents.
Mold looks like a Picasso. Beautiful picture on the wall, but it's very dangerous for you.
Experts say high humidity plus water damage is the perfect recipe for mold to grow. When flooding happens inside the home, he's urging residents to call water damage repair immediately, because once mold grows, the only solution is demolition.
We receive actually lots of phone calls that customers trying to do their jobs on their own, and later find out 5 days later they have started growing mold on their walls.
I had to think about this immediately, get this water out of here, because if it sits too long, mold will build up.
McGuire says the flooding is a headache, but it won't drive him out of Shakopee.
This is the first time this has happened, so we're not too concerned about it. And we got Milan to lean on too if this happens again.
So you know who to call?
I know who to call, and it's not Ghostbusters.
And experts say symptoms of mold might remind you of allergies, so sneezing, coughing, and itchy eyes. And also those experts say that they're able to actually go in and test for mold using technology, because of course it's always better to be safe than sorry. Live in Shakopee, Brittany Ehrman, 5 Eyewitness News.
All of our
our recent rainfall coupled with high humidity, it's causing mold concerns, and experts are warning it's likely only going to get worse. ABC 7's Brigham Harris joining us now live. Brigham, you also spoke to some people whose homes were really impacted by all of this.
Yeah, Aaron, that's right. First of all, the experts tell me that one thing that's a guarantee here in Florida is the rain and the humidity. It's not always guaranteed to see mold in the house, but one person that I did speak with today tells me that it's a fear that she never expected to experience herself.
There's no excuse to live like this. I shouldn't be living like this.
Tammy McCullough says she's been experiencing mold in her apartment for over a week now.
The smell I can't take. It's the constant stagnant water that's flowing through the apartment.
She and her longtime best friend, Kay Fisher, tell me getting help with the infestation has not been so simple either.
They also sent us an email acknowledging the mold and said they were going to send someone out to do a moisture test, and they still haven't done that.
Robert Arnold is a project manager at Water Damage Pros in Tampa. He says it's not a one-solution-fits-all type of problem.
Whether it be a leaky pipe, bad ventilation, improper air conditioning.
And that the conditions that lie ahead could cause even more mold worries for local residents.
It can be anywhere from $3,000 up into the tens of thousands of dollars, depending on how extensive it is. Take hurricane season with the roofs. People, roofs come up, they get water in their house from it. Now we're talking about a whole house that could be infested with mold.
McCullough tells me that it's not just her health that she has to be on the lookout for.
My animals can't be in this either. And I don't know, it's depressing. It gets depressing after a couple of weeks.
I'm told by Arnold actually that several of the cases of mold that he is called about at his business are actually the products of older hurricanes like Hurricane Ian, Hurricane Idalia. He even referenced Hurricane Katrina in Louisiana. Several hundred homes affected with mold due to that natural disaster. We'll, of course, during this hurricane season, follow up with local residents to find out about any more mold cases here on the Sun Coast. We're now reporting in Sarasota. Brigham Harris, ABC 7, your local.
24 families, many of them migrants living in an emergency shelter in Brighton. They're being relocated due to a mold infestation. NBC 10's Carla Rojo joining us live from outside that shelter this afternoon with the latest. Carla?
Colton, so this was supposed to be their temporary home for about 24 families. Today, we saw them hopping on a school bus, and state officials say they were being transported to a temporary shelter. One woman tells us she's been sounding the alarm about this situation for months.
I was so angry and I was so upset.
Kimra Minuti and her daughter spent 10 months living at a state emergency shelter at the former Charles River Motel in Brighton. She tells us the moment she stepped foot into the building, there were many red flags like mice, bed bugs, and mold in her bedroom. She assures us she started making phone calls and sending emails to the people in charge since July of 2023 to explain the situation, but no one took her seriously.
I started noticing that there were spots on our wall. Our air conditioning unit had like black stuff on it. Like my daughter never had asthma, now she needs an inhaler.
State officials confirming that the shelter did in fact have mold. Today, they transferred 24 families, most of them migrants, to temporary housing while the mold is cleared up.
Do you know how long it took you guys to get to that point?
In a statement, the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities said in part that the health and well-being of the families in shelter is a top priority, adding that as soon as they were made aware of the mold at this site, they took the steps to temporarily relocate the families and directed the operator of the facility to remediate the situation.
We're doing everything that we can to help the families.
The motel is privately owned by JHM River LLC, a firm in Lexington, but the organization Catholic Charities runs the case management inside the shelter.
We are not the owners of this building, and we have alerted the right people to this. And when there was situations where you say bed bugs, right away, exterminators came in.
So state officials say that half of the rooms at this shelter don't have mold. So right now there are families living in them. We reached out to the owners of this motel, but have not heard back. Reporting live in Brighton, Carla Rojo, NBC 10 Boston.